In a kingdom of gray, where even the sky forgot it was ever blue, there lived a quiet boy named Finn. Finn was still on the surface, but rushing with something powerful underneath. Every morning he walked through the gray market square, past faces that never once noticed him. But Finn noticed everything. Because Finn could hear colors, not with his eyes, but deep inside his chest. When pink appeared, he heard a soft flute. When blue surfaced, a cello hummed. When violet struck the sky, an orchestra erupted. He tried to tell his teacher. She frowned. He tried to tell his father, who placed a kind hand on his shoulder and said nothing at all. Above the palace gates, ancient words were carved into cold stone. Color is forbidden. By order of the king. Then one autumn morning, something impossible washed up on the riverbank. A paintbrush, old and waterlogged, with a ribbon of burning sunset orange tied around its handle. The moment his fingers closed around it, the brush pulsed once, like a heartbeat. That night he touched the brush to paper. One stroke of crimson, and inside him drums. Powerful, thundering, joyful drums. He painted through the night. Gold stars. Green trees. Drawn by the light bleeding through his curtains. Finn stood in the great throne room, small and pale beneath the weight of 1,000 gray eyes. The king was ancient and hollow, as though something vital had been carved out of him long ago. "Where did you find the painter's brush?" the king asked. His voice was not cruel. It was broken. "I could hear it," Finn said quietly. "Orange sounds like trumpets." Something crossed the king's face, fast and sharp, like a wound reopening after years of careful healing. "My wife," the king whispered, "was the royal painter. She painted this whole kingdom once. Every wall, every flower, every stone. When she died, I could not bear to see her colors without her. So I made them disappear. For everyone." Finn looked at the old king, truly looked, and he did not see a villain. He saw a man made entirely of grief. Finn reached into his coat pocket. He had kept one thing from his night of painting, a small paper folded 4 times. He walked forward past the guards and held it out. "She didn't disappear," Finn said softly. "She's still in the colors." The king unfolded the paper with trembling hands. A blazing painted sunrise, orange and gold and alive, looked back at him. And the king wept. The way people weep when something they believed was gone forever suddenly, impossibly, returns. The law was lifted before the sun set that day. Slowly, carefully, color crept back into the kingdom. First in small places. A ribbon on a door. A flower in a window. A child's painted handprint glowing on a gray stone wall. And as the colors returned, Finn heard the music grow. Flutes and cellos and drums and violins, all rising together, weaving into something vast and cathedral and endless. The baker paused in his doorway, inexplicably smiling, as though the sun had touched him from the inside. An old woman stopped walking, pressed her hand to her heart, and looked up at a sky she was only now truly seeing. 2 children who had never met laughed at the exact same moment, for no reason either of them could name. The river turned from gray to deep shimmering blue, catching the colors of the sky and scattering them like broken light. In a small chapel on the edge of the city, the king stood before his wife's portrait and finally said goodbye. The kingdom celebrated. Music filled the square. Children ran between the tables. Color was everywhere, everywhere except Finn. He still wore gray. But he had never felt less alone. He returned to the riverbank at dusk and held the paintbrush over the water one final time. Then he opened his fingers and let it go. The brush fell slowly, its orange ribbon trailing like a tiny flame, caught for one perfect moment in the last ray of sunset. Then it was gone. And Finn was smiling. Because he understood now, he had never needed the brush. The music had always lived inside him. He had simply needed the courage to believe it was real. The kingdom bloomed and breathed and laughed and danced, a world exhaling after holding its breath for decades. And on his desk the next morning, left silently by the king, sat a brand new set of brushes. Every color, every size. Finn sat on the hilltop beside the old king, pointing out over the glowing city below, describing every color's sound.